Good afternoon, everybody. On this hump day, June 4th, 2025, I have all of your stories for your rush hour ride home. And on today's episode, we've got Bachelor in Paradise tea as Jesse Palmer and Wells Adams discuss age gap relationships now that the summer fling on the beach will have young co-eds and the older golden co-eds. Fans are mixed on what they think of this inclusivity that may exist between different age groups. And then we've got the NFL turf war as Reggie Bush and others want the NFL to go back to real grass. We'll have that. And then a journalist was threatened again by Blake Lively's publicist. So not good PR for her. I'll share that story. And Taylor Swift, of course, bought back her masters, and her boyfriend Travis Kelce does a victory lap in support of his girlfriend. Say what you want about Taylor Swift, but find yourself a man who champions your every move. And then updates on the Ukraine Trojan horse-like drone situation as they have now blown up a bridge. Unbelievable stuff. All these stories and more, it's all happening right now on The Rush. We like to start the episode off with some animal news, and we have an escaped pet zebra on the loose in Tennessee. Apparently, it's taking the HOV lane. Watch this.
There's a tag on him too. Oh no!
So they catch the zebra running, and it looks like the zebra found its way to a cul-de-sac somewhere. Listen, I don't believe these wild animals should be in captivity. And I say if you're able to break free, whether as a pet or a zoo animal, you should be allowed to roam free. And by the way, zebras might look like horses, but apparently they're very aggressive. So don't try to pet one of them. All right, speaking of aggressive, we've got Bachelor in Paradise fans aggressively upset at what Wells Adams and Jesse Palmer said, hoping for age gap romances on Bachelor in Paradise. They said, look at Bill Belichick. Now, if you're above 18, consensually speaking, do whatever the hell you want with your body. But will the show be rewarding age gaps? I'm not too sure. Here is Wells and then Jesse Palmer discussing the upcoming season of Paradise.
Much more life.
Yes.
That their advice or their conversations, the stakes for them are just so much bigger.
Yeah.
And so I think that'll be a good thing for them to impart on like all these young kids too. You know?
Yeah. I was gonna say, do you have a favorite age gap romance in popular culture? And then bring up Bill Belichick.
Yeah.
Right now he's giving a lot of content for all of us.
It's real weird.
It's
not
real
gonna
weird.
lie.
Can you give me a Bachelor in Paradise prediction? We haven't started yet. So how many engagement will we see? Will the Goldens get involved? What will happen? What's your prediction?
Lots of personality is a guarantee, especially from our Golden cast. That's probably the number one thing I'm really excited about them being here, outside of them having a second shot at finding love. I'm really interested to see the perspectives that the Golden cast bring, educating our younger cast on life and love. I think there's a lot of value there.
Yeah.
Having Hannah Brown, I think, is absolutely massive, and having her take and her personality here as well, and her expertise. I think Paradise is going to have a lot of elements that feel very similar to what we've seen in the past. I think there may be a few new elements along the way as well.
Yeah.
And of course, a lot of fan favorites at home from Bachelor Nation. A lot of faces that are going to arrive here that I think people are going to be really happy about.
I was telling Wells, it's like maybe Bill Belichick will inspire some of our couples to have an age gap romance.
Yeah, hopefully they'll yes. I don't, there's something I want to say about a recent interview, but I won't.
So there it is. Vague. He said there'll be old elements, there'll be new elements, and that's about it. So, of course, the internet runs wild with these quotes. Says, Jesse Palmer hopes for age gap relationships on Bachelor in Paradise. Listen, I don't really think that's what he was saying. And most of these quotes that they share here were attributed to Wells and not Jesse Palmer, but that doesn't stop people from not reading the source material. Rachel Kirkconnell says, don't think we should be encouraging 50-year age gaps. I agree, but at the same time, love will find a way, Rachel. So we might not encourage it, but sometimes it happens. And then some people said, hey, I don't mind it. I like a guy who's mature or a lady. So anyhow, they may have separate beaches though, says one commenter. Liz Roper says ew. Jade Roper says ew. And others say I'll pass. Yeah, again, I don't think Wells or Jesse Palmer were actually seriously considering age gaps, but you never know. I mean, people will shoot their shot. Reggie Bush says to the NFL, stop using turf. This is a big story, although we don't have to cover it too in depth. He's begging the NFL to go au naturel. Now, what you might not realize is by using synthetic AstroTurf, while it might be nice and easy to walk on, when you're a pro athlete making quick jukes and hard cuts, your knees, your Achilles, and other joints in your body cannot stop on a dime the way you would want them to. It's almost like the AstroTurf is too good. And they did a study, and 90+% of NFL players said they'd rather play on good quality natural grass versus the AstroTurf stuff. So yeah, and again, this is a good example of corporations like the NFL, companies choosing the cheaper option. Now, AstroTurf is very expensive, but so is natural grass. I mean, a lot of times they'll have to change out the natural grass during the season because you got grown men, 300-400 pounds, pushing each other, sliding, mud, all of that, but it is safer on the body. So will they be doing mandatory natural grass? I don't think so. I don't think that's going to happen, but interesting to see what the players want. All right, Russell Simmons is suing HBO from Bali. That's right. He's sort of been in Bali following his own cancellation, but he's suing them for the On the Record documentary. Attorneys for Russell Simmons tell TMZ Russell Simmons has filed a claim of defamation in court regarding the film On the Record. Despite voluminous support from Mr. Simmons in the form of credible information, persuasive evidence, witness statements, and calls for further investigations by notable members of the media, politics, and the civil rights movement, the defendants simply disregarded it and released and continued to re-release globally a film that tremendously disparaged and damaged Mr. Simmons with its salacious and defamatory accusations that he vehemently denies. So my question is this: if you didn't do anything wrong, why you're in Bali? You know, he left the United States. Simmons claims HBO ignored mountains of evidence refuting the assault claims against him when it produced a documentary about the case. It's very hard, of course, to win a defamation lawsuit, but we'll have to see if he's got a shot at it. So he's been in Bali for the last couple of years. Simmons moved out of the U.S. back in 2018 following the allegations, sold his last U.S. property in 2021. He's taken up residence in Bali, Indonesia, where he owns a luxury yoga retreat. Listen, having spent some time in Bali, I got to tell you, it's a beautiful place. I don't blame him for going there, but will he have a chance at winning this case? We'll have to see. Armie Hammer was caught in his ex's Instagram photos, smiling with ex Elizabeth Chambers. Now, why is this interesting? Well, he was all but canceled for being like a cannibal, right? And when I saw that story, I was like, well, there's got to be more to it, right? Do you throw your career away because you want to gobble somebody? Most likely not, but hey, everyone's got their kink. So he's now got a podcast, which is what you do when you've been canceled. You either become a male stripper or a podcaster. You choose which one you want. But it seems as though he can't be that dangerous of a guy, as his ex posted a photo with him for their second grade, I guess their kid's second grade graduation or whatever. So either way, he of course, there was photos exposing him saying, I want to eat you. But look, I don't know. I mean, was it consensual dirty talk or not? Truly, what happens in someone's bed sheets or in their text messages, none of my business. They finalized their divorce in 2023. Armie and Elizabeth got to a place where they could be friendly and share space mainly for the sake of their kids. And again, I'm not endorsing him. I don't know if there's more skeletons in his closet that I don't know about. Either way, she filed for divorce, citing irreconcilable differences on the heels of the explosive allegations against him, including assault and disturbing cannibalistic fantasies. Are you not allowed to have a fantasy about eating somebody? If you keep it in the fantasy world, I don't know. He was never charged with any crime following a lengthy police investigation. That's what it comes down to. Never charged with a crime. He for sure will never be in any movies. That's not going to happen. But it seems as though many people in society have welcomed him back. I'm indifferent to him, but there's your Armie Hammer update that nobody asked for. All right, coming up next, we'll have Travis Kelce, what he has to say about Taylor Swift buying back her masters, and then we're going to get into this nasty, bizarre threat from Blake Lively's publicist. Here it is, boyfriend of the biggest pop star in the world, Travis Kelce, in the offseason of his football journey. He's cheering on Taylor Swift days after she announced she officially owns her first 6 studio albums. Have a listen.
Shaq, thank you for the stories, big dog. Thank you for your time.
Yep, tell your families I said hello, and I'll definitely see you guys again.
You know
Shaq,
it, man. You know it. Can't wait to watch these first two of these finals.
Hold on.
And can't wait to watch Power Moves out now on Netflix, everybody.
I got to show you guys something. 2 seconds.
Take your time. I got to tell you, Shaq, I don't even need to see the edit. This is probably one of the best episodes we've ever done. And we didn't do nothing.
So that is Shaquille O'Neal lip singing to a Taylor Swift song. I never knew I needed to see this, but we love Shaquille O'Neal.
That's my favorite song in the world, brother. You didn't know it.
Just got that song back, too.
Yeah.
Just bought all their music back, so it's finally hers, too, man. I appreciate that, dog.
All right, love you guys.
All right, there it is. Grown men singing Taylor Swift. Taylor Swift can unite. Hey, listen, Taylor Swift has done more for father-daughter relationships than anybody, right? I mean, if you're a father and you're not the cool dad, buy Taylor Swift tickets if you can get a hold of them, and you'll be the coolest dad on the block. All right, so let's do this. I'm going to share the Blake Lively Publicist story, but here first we have Good Morning America reporting on Blake Lively ditching her emotional distress claim. I'm going to be very interested as we listen to this to see how Good Morning America frames this. Is this a admission of didn't have the evidence? Let's have a listen.
The never-ending legal battle between It Ends With Us co-stars Blake Lively and Justin Baldoni has a sort of resolution, kind of, about one thing: emotional distress. Lively withdrawing her emotional distress claim after Baldoni's legal team wanted access to her medical and therapy records. The judge very quick to say that since she has withdrawn these claims, that she cannot present evidence or make any claims of emotional distress when this all goes to trial in March of next year. Okay, so this all started when Lively filed a lawsuit.
All right, so then they get into the specifics of it all. But yeah, I mean, this is a huge win for Justin Baldoni. To think she made all these claims, and now she's saying, you know what? Some of those claims we don't want to pursue. And maybe it's true. Maybe she just doesn't want to open up the can of worms, which is her mental health, whatever. But it doesn't change the fact that this is a massive, massive win for him. Will she withdraw any other claims as discovery is the next step? We'll have to see. Is this a step closer to a settlement? I'm not really sure, but it is not the step in the right direction for Blake Lively. She and her attorney say, well, this is just us streamlining the case. Well, if that's you streamlining the case, you're streamlining your way to a losing side. And speaking of losing side, how about this story? Now, this was reshared by Without a Crystal Ball. This is a bombshell story from a former journalist, a current journalist who worked with Leslie Sloan, Blake Lively's publicist, in an interview. So here's what the journalist had to say. For what it's worth, Leslie Sloan is the most hateful she-beast I encountered in 15 years of New York City journalism. Making threats and accusing people of crimes was her go-to move to silence the press. I interviewed Blake once and made a joke about how she was bucking the trend of young starlets heading to rehab. Blake laughed. Leslie physically grabbed me and said she'd effing kill me for that question. She's a monster and a liar. Now, it's one thing to hear these claims by some random commenter on Reddit, but it's another to hear it from someone who works in the world of journalism because, ostensibly, if you were to make false claims, you'd probably be getting a cease and desist or a lawsuit. We know Without a Crystal Ball, even though she didn't make any false claims, received a cease and desist this past week. Here's what Without a Crystal Ball had to say. Shallon Lester, who worked as an editor and journalist in New York, Leslie Sloan's MO is to falsely accuse people of crimes to silence them and help her clients. Shallon states that in her interview with Blake, she made a joke about Lively not going to rehab. She then alleged that Leslie grabbed her and threatened to kill her. This is only one story that I've heard about Leslie Sloan. The number one adjective I hear about Leslie to describe her is evil. Blake is a narcissist, but she is also a robot that speaks in PR soundbites to market products and sell movies. Nothing she says is authentic. Leslie Sloan makes sure to mask her clients' unmarketable behavior in order to keep her paycheck flowing. Sloan has an alleged history of threatening and planting stories accusing people of crimes to cover for her clients. Sloan is also an alleged narcissist. Leslie Sloan did this to Justin Baldoni. Sloan is harassing journalists and threatening them. I've spoken to 6 journalists who have the same story about Leslie. All of them call her evil. This is who represents Blake Lively. Don't bother suing me, Leslie. I'm not your problem, but harassing my friends and threatening them is wrong. Since I started speaking out about these publicists, I have been spammed and harassed by bots and accounts on Reddit. Hate comments are all over my YouTube. It's not an accident. So apparently this, I don't know the date, the origin date of when Shallon posted this. It may have been all the way back in February, and Cristobal just is resharing it because of the sort of new threats made at her. But I have to tell you, it's pretty wild that we've got somebody on record saying that Blake Lively's publicist is doing these types of things. So as far as the emotional distress claims against Justin Baldoni being dead, here's what Ashley Brianna Eve had to say about Blake Lively's team trying to gaslight you.
Take bets on how long before Blake Lively twists this massive loss in court into a win for her. Judge Lyman got into the office today and he had his stamp ready to go. I think he is tired of the He says the motion to compel at docket number 261 and 262 is denied based on plaintiff's representation that the relevant claims will be withdrawn. Lively's request that because the parties have agreed to dismiss Miss Lively's 10th and 11th causes of action, the court exercise its inherent authority and authority under Rule 15 to dismiss them without prejudice, is denied without prejudice to renewal. The party shall stipulate to whether the dismissal is with or without prejudice, or Lively shall renew her request by formal motion. For avoidance of doubt, he's like, I'm tired of this For avoidance of doubt, if the claims are not dismissed, the court will preclude Lively from offering any evidence of emotional distress. He's over it. And Variety's been waving the pro-Justin Baldoni flag today. I'm so here for it. It looks like, possibly mainstream media is starting to shift.
Now, the question is, why would they be doing that? A commenter says, is this the Taylor Swift effect? Once she turns, all of mainstream media follows? Well, I think if you're media, obviously you want to be as unbiased and objective as possible, but you also have to look at the trends and go, geez, she's throwing out one of these claims. Why are we going to give her the benefit of the doubt if one of her claims is no longer even valid, right? All right, so we're going to move it on from here. Let's go into some news of this big, beautiful bill, whatever the hell they want to call it. Marjorie Taylor Greene admits she didn't even read part of the bill that she signed. Now, this is not a surprise, as obviously these bills are very big, but it's ridiculous. It's ridiculous that our elected leaders are agreeing to terms that they don't even read. It's one thing for us to flip through the terms and service from, Best Buy when we buy, a garden tool or whatever the hell. But the fact that there are leaders and they are not going through these bills with a fine-tooth comb before signing on. We elected you. We elected you to represent us, and you're not even doing your homework?
Congresswoman, you say in full transparency you didn't know that this was in there, and now you're shining a light on it. How did you not know that it was in there, and how'd you find out about it?
Well, we don't get the full bill text until very close to the time to vote for it. And so that was one section, that was 2 pages that I didn't see.
Well, there it is, folks. She just didn't see it. They hit it. They hit it right in the middle of the pages. Now, look, I get it. It's ridiculous. They do these bills, they make changes, and then they bring them back to you right before a deadline. They don't do that because they want transparency. They do that because they want to sneak something by you. Absolutely ridiculous. All right, so we have some heartbreaking stories to share. Absolutely heartbreaking stories of ICE officials terrorizing people that are just going about living their lives, right? We were told they were only going to try to target violent criminals, and now they realize they can't hit their, bonuses, so they're coming after just random Americans.
The town is rallying around a high schooler arrested by ICE on Saturday on his way to volleyball practice. Officials admit that this 18-year-old Marcelo Gomes da Silva was not their target. Nevertheless, he is in their custody. There have been protests since the arrest, including a walkout at the school where he's a popular student.
An attorney for Gomes da Silva told us that he came to the U.S. when he was 7 years old. He came from Brazil, and up until recently, he was on a student visa.
How ridiculous is this? right? So now he's going to be handcuffed and placed in some detention center awaiting deportation. It's taken from his family. He's all but a child at this point. I mean, it's absolutely ridiculous what's going on out there. All right, so I want to talk a little bit about Ukraine. We've been following this crazy story about the drone assault on the Russian air bases, and then now we're going to hear from a former Russian official and what they think will be the response by Russia. Now, if you aren't following this story, we are moments from nuclear warfare. We really are. I mean, this is not good for the world, but you can't blame Ukraine defending themselves. Have a listen here.
Now, Vladimir Milov, a former deputy minister of energy in Russia, served under Vladimir Putin. Obviously, then, of course, you resigned. Vladimir, so let me just ask you from the perspective of, when you hear that on Russian state, how did those trucks get in? How did they get through the waypoints? That frustration you hear there. How big of an embarrassment is this for Putin?
It is big indeed enough, but this is not the first time, because we just had a 9-month occupation of the part of the Kursk region by Ukrainian troops, nearly ended, and that was a major setback to Putin. And, Russian airports, Moscow area airports getting disrupted, if not daily, at least weekly, because of permanent Ukrainian attacks of Russian military industry facilities with drones.
Obviously, on state television, I think the right word to describe the sentiment is fury, right? There is fury. They are angry. There's one former KGB agent who was on saying that because of this, Ukraine essentially should be obliterated.
Which is ridiculous. That would be absolutely ridiculous. I mean, Ukraine was able to defend itself and do these drone attacks without killing one person. So we actually have a update here, which is insane that Ukraine, following all of that, also blew up a bridge yesterday. Look at this footage. Ukraine blows up Crimea-Russia bridge, and I'm not exactly sure how they did this. If it might have been through drone or a bomb device that was placed underneath the water. I truly don't know, but how many more drones may be in Russian territory that have yet to be activated? That's the question people are asking. And the story behind how Ukraine was able to get these drones in Russia, while we don't have all of the facts, here is some of the theories. It's fascinating. And I mean, at this point, I don't know about you guys, I'm rooting for Ukraine as they defend themselves, and they need to show Russia a pain point. They need to say, we can terrorize you right back. You want to bomb our cities? You want to come into our country and kidnap our children? Well, we're going to take out as many military assets as we can. Have a listen to this.
Ukraine reportedly tricked Russian truck drivers into delivering 18-wheelers carrying drones into Russia near Air Force bases. These trucks, which were parked outside the bases, were not driven by Ukrainians, but by Russian truck drivers who had been deceived. The Ukrainian government allegedly posted fake job listings offering lucrative long-haul trucking contracts. The truck drivers bid on these jobs online and, once awarded the contracts, were given trucks by what appeared to be a legitimate company, but was actually the Ukrainian government in disguise. They were told they were transporting short-stay housing equipment and instructed to deliver it to a specific location in Russia, supposedly the destination company. While en route, they received a call from the company, which was in fact Ukrainian intelligence, telling them to leave the trucks on the side of the road. They were assured that someone would come to pick them up, the job was cancelled, and they were paid, the money was wired to them. Later, drones hidden in the trailers were activated and launched attacks.
How amazing is that? Unbelievable story. I mean, truly, regardless of what side you're on, which you should be on the side of countries defending themselves, but regardless of what side you're on, I mean, it is fascinating the more we learn about what's going on there. And if you're a Russian official, you're probably shaking in your boots right now. So there are your updates for you. We'll be back in the morning as we continue to deliver an eclectic amount of news, everything you need for your water cooler. Please share us with a friend. Continue to help us grow. If you're listening on audio, give us a nice 5-star review on Spotify or podcast or wherever, and we appreciate the support. We'll see you in the morning. I'm Dave, and this is The Rush.